President talking about everything from the ramped-up Israeli offensive in Gaza, his TikTok deal, the Charlie Kirk assassination, and he says he has confidence in his FBI director, who is on Capitol Hill testifying now in front of a Senate committee. We will get you back to that hearing, but before we do, I want to quickly bring in our White House correspondent, Monica Alba, who was monitoring the president there from the White House, and a series of headlines coming out of President Trump, including that warning to Hamas as Israel is ramping up its offensive in Gaza. Monica.
Yeah, Hallie, that's right. The president was asked about that incursion into Gaza City, and he said, look, let's see. We have to see how this unfolds. He was asked specifically if Prime Minister Netanyahu had given him any kind of phone call or any kind of contact on this particular military move, and he said no, but that he did want to point out what he has reiterated on social media, which is taking issue, of course, with what he says, which is Hamas. He argues using those hostages that are still alive, 20 or so, believed to still be alive in Gaza, as human shields, and using them in that way that he believes is, of course, putting their lives even further at risk. So the president calling out Hamas once again, urging for there to be some kind of potential resolution here, while also fielding some other questions on foreign policy as he is about to make this visit to the UK. It will be the second state visit for him from the British monarchy. He will, of course, be meeting with King Charles and with other members of the royal family, while also trying to have some discussions about potential agreements with the UK. He did talk about tariffs and touched on that for a bit. He was also asked, Hallie, about his meeting with President Putin in Alaska about a month ago now, and whether he was satisfied with where things stand. And the president said, ultimately, he says the pressure is on President Zelensky of Ukraine to make a deal. And he was asked whether perhaps he will meet with him at the upcoming UN General Assembly in New York. And he said that his message overall to Ukraine and to Russia is that, of course, he would like for them to talk, but there are no indications that any kind of a meeting between those two leaders, or even one that would include the U.S. president, is at all set at this stage, which had been the major goal of the Alaska summit. And on a couple of domestic issues, Hallie, he was asked, I asked him, in fact, whether he still had confidence in his FBI director, in Kash Patel, and he responded first by saying he had great confidence in his attorney general, Pam Bondi, and then he did speak a bit about his FBI director, and then he concluded by saying he has confidence in everybody in his cabinet, and that he really wanted to tout their cohesion and their leadership. And when he was asked also about Charlie Kirk's assassination and whether federal charges are going to be pursued there in addition to the state charges, he said that they were taking a look at that and that he wasn't sure. And he reiterated that Utah does have the death penalty, and he pointed to that in addition to a couple of other headlines and things that he talked about, some other issues that the president is, of course, monitoring quite closely, Hallie, including the Fed meeting that will take place, and the fact that one of his White House officials, Stephen Myron, has just been officially named to the Federal Reserve Board of Governors.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or watch live on our YouTube channel.